What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got an injury report between the Chicago Bulls and the Toronto Raptors to provide for you guys ahead of our big play-in tournament game, a do-or-die situation. We've obviously seen what's happened between the 7th and the 8th seed as we speak now, obviously for the East and the West, but we'll be talking about the East in this instance as well. And look, at the end of the day, whatever happens shall happen, and I'm very, very excited for the game in a couple of hours time. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and whether or not you give us a massive chance to win this game against the Toronto Raptors. Can we become that first 10th seeded team to win a play-in tournament game? There is a lot to get through. Very, very excited for the game, of course, but in terms of an injury report, I will provide the big injuries for the Chicago Bulls and the big injuries for the Toronto Raptors. There's not too much to talk about in this instance, but I feel like if you are, I guess, someone watching this maybe not paying attention to the Chicago Bulls the entire season, I will give you obviously the guys that has been out for a long period of time. Same with the Toronto Raptors as well. So let's get started. Obviously for the Chicago Bulls, a lot of people may know this, that Lonzo Ball has been out for around 2 seasons now, about a season and a half, 2 seasons, whatever the case may be. He is out for this game against the Toronto Raptors, of course, is not expected to return until close to the end of next season, potentially miss the rest of next season, and there is a lot of, I guess, jeopardy of his entire NBA career in general, which again is a big topic of discussion, one we won't talk about today. But again, if you haven't been watching the Bulls, you haven't been focused on the Chicago Bulls, it is clear to say that our starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls has been out for some time. Does that mean much in the whole grand scheme of things? Well, obviously yes it does, but the Bulls have played most of the season without Lonzo, all season without Lonzo Ball this year. So you do expect that there is no excuses behind the Chicago Bulls performance. We can't come out here and say that we don't have Lonzo Ball, because we haven't had Lonzo Ball all season, and we have versed the Toronto Raptors without Lonzo Ball 3 straight times this season. So, but again, it is what it is, but I feel like it's important to mention in relation to an injury report for a play-in game, especially one where it's not the regular season, it's not the NBA playoffs, it's an in-between game. Example, if someone wants to come back to this video a couple years later and just to see, I guess, the whole situation, well then you would know Lonzo Ball will not play this game, hasn't played for a long time. Anyway, Justin Lewis as well had a torn Achilles, I believe, in the Summer League, or again around about that time, and he hasn't played an NBA game since, or he hasn't played a basketball game since. He's going to be out as well. Then you move to the Toronto Raptors side of things. There's only one big injury to talk about, and that is Otto Porter. He will be out from this game, and I believe he's going to be out for the majority of the rest of the season, including playoffs if they make it. I'm not too sure why. I think it's a knee injury, but again, he has been out for a while. Last time we versed Toronto, Otto Porter was out as well. So yeah, it's just basically building things up for next season, I guess, when he could potentially make his return. And that's it in terms of the injury report. If you're looking at the players that have played consistently for both teams for the majority of the season, I would say both teams are fairly healthy. So again, you're going to be in for a competitive ride where your superstar players will be playing this game for both teams, and it's going to be close and competitive. Hopefully the Chicago Bulls can walk away with a win, but it's going to be a very difficult challenge ahead for us 100%. There is no denying that whatsoever. But now, obviously, we know, I guess, what's ahead of us if we win this game. For example, again, you look at the Eastern Conference play-in tournament game between the 7th and the 8th seed. It was the Atlanta Hawks and the Miami Heat, and Atlanta walked away from the play-in tournament game with a victory and will now be in the 7th seed. I think they're versing the Boston Celtics, if I'm not mistaken. So we know this now. And now we know, okay, if the Bulls win this game against the Toronto Raptors, we know our opposition, it will be against the Miami Heat. Now, I'm not going to go out on a limb here and say what I think we need to do to beat Miami, because we don't know if it's going to be us yet that will walk away with the win. But of course now, if you're Toronto, if you're, I guess, the Chicago Bulls, you know exactly what's going to be put in front of you once you beat the other team. And I think that's very interesting to know, and we'll have to wait and see. That whole day of Miami now trying to figure out who they're going to be playing against as well it could be an interesting sight to see, and we'll have to wait and see who wins this game, who goes on to versus Miami and stuff of that nature. But talking more about that game, Miami and Atlanta is an interesting game, but Atlanta were dominant in that game for the majority of the time. Their three-point shots were on point. Clint Capella had well over 20 rebounds. It was dominating the offensive glass. Miami looked like they couldn't get a shot to go down from the paint or from the three-point line. Yes, you expect them to make a comeback because Miami is still a very good team when they're playing well. They made their comebacks, but yeah, Atlanta just ran away with it. Fair play to them. They played a tremendous game away from home, and Atlanta are the I would say the play-in, I guess, kings in many ways. They have the most experience in the play-in tournament. They know what it takes in these do-or-die situations to walk away from wins, and I think that showed. I think it showed in their game against the Miami Heat. And let's hope the Bulls have that same mentality, man. Let's hope the Bulls come out away from home. We can learn a lot from Atlanta and put the pressure on them very quickly. Make sure that we show we want it more than Toronto. Make sure that we put the pressure on Toronto straight away. Making sure we hit our threes against Toronto. Again, there's so much that we can look at from the Atlanta Hawks and Miami Heat game, and we can hopefully try and implement into our own game. I'm not saying completely change how we play, but again, from a pressure standpoint and stuff like that, I think they set the bar of what we could do, and we have to try and live up to that, in my opinion, if we want to beat this Toronto Raptors team. But that's it in terms of this video, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the time for talk is over. In a couple of hours' time, we will know if it's the Bulls or the Toronto Raptors. We will know if the Bulls end their season or if the Bulls extend their season. We will know the answers that I think a lot of people are waiting for. Are we going to be preparing for the off-season after tomorrow or after a couple of hours' time? Or are we going to be preparing for one more game to get into the playoffs? It's a very, very interesting time, a unique situation. But again, we are here. Let's hope we can make the most of it regardless of what ends up happening. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.